Who is Graham Potter? What has he done? And why is he the successor of Tuchel? Let's discuss. Now, Thomas Tuchel has been sacked by Chelsea. This is very known now all around the world, all around different fan bases. And at the moment, Graham Potter is the one to take over from the German manager at Stamford Bridge. Now, a lot of teams will be looking at Graham Potter. They've seen what he's done at Brighton. They've seen that under his management, he had this ability to get the best out of their defense. Obviously, the defense would make a couple of mistakes, but they had one of the best defense. They had one of the best stats in terms of aerial duels won, being able to accommodate a lot of pressure, and that is what he's been known for doing ever since he became a manager, ever since he's gone to certain clubs. So that in itself is something that will give some fans hope that he can become something good for the club. Now, Potter, like I said, has done a stellar job with Brighton in recent seasons, and he steered them away from being a relegation favourite to finishing 15th, 16th, and 9th in 3 full seasons at the club. So, I mean, that in itself gives you some optimism that he can actually work out. He's tactically versatile. He also helped mold Marc Cucurella into a left wing back, because before his move to Brighton, Cucurella was mostly looked at as a left centre back, and he was utilised as that under the management of Graham Potter as well. Now, we know that obviously eventually we had signed Cucurella for £62 million or 72 million euros, depending on what you want to use in terms of conversion. Now, as it seems, he's going to be reuniting at Stamford Bridge with this player, and Cucurella will be seeing a familiar face that he knew for at least 1 year and was able to get the best out of him. So that in itself is a positive for not only Cucurella, but also for fans who understand that this was a manager that helped to put Cucurella further on the map as one of the best left wing back, left centre back defenders that you can come across. And he's 24 still, so comes in, can do something, can be at the club for a few years, if everything goes well. So there's a lot of optimism in terms of the connections and what he's been known for. Now the situation is that Potter has utilised a 3 at the back, as we've seen under Tuchel. Tuchel came in, and the first thing he did was try to fix up that defense, switching to a back 3 to accommodate certain personalities that was at the club at that time, and he was able to get the best out of them. One of the standout qualities of Potter, though, is that he isn't married to any one formation or tactical system. He'd rather let the players at his disposal dictate the rest, which to me is good and also bad, because we've seen that without certain instructions being given to them, they struggle to know what to do next, to make the next decision, and to make an initiative or instinctive move that can actually benefit the team in terms of scoring goals or creating chances. And we've not been, very arrogant in front of goal. We look shy. We look as if we don't know what to do. We looked bugged. But that could also be down to the players starting to lose interest in Tuchel being the manager. So in a sense, I don't know if I could say that it was a case where we looked shy. Maybe it was because they lost interest playing for that manager, and maybe on the pitch it was starting to show and they couldn't hide it anymore. Now, last season in particular, Graham Potter used a back 4 17 times, but obviously, like I said, mostly the formation that he utilizes is a back 3, and that was 21 times. So 17 and 21, 38 matches, and obviously Brighton played only in the domestic competitions and in the Premier League, so they didn't have extra games like that. So it'd be 38 matches, 17 times in the Premier League back four and 21 times back three. So this gives you some sense that he will switch the formation depending on the opponents, depending on the personality that he has. But I don't think that a back three is the way to go permanently, and I don't think he's going to be using that only. And he will be fair to each player. He will give them a fair opportunity when he comes in. But at the same time, it does give you some indication that we won't be seeing us using a back three only if he comes in and sees that these players are not really at that higher caliber in terms of being versatile. We do have some versatile players who will see the match at hand and say that, okay, I'll try to do this, I'll try to do that, but they won't be married to those positions. They can be given a role where they'll be free and you'll have more freedom to express that side that, if they were signed, they were brought in to express the reasons why they were signed. They get to express that. But right now, depending on what he sees, depending on what he believes is the best thing, we will possibly see two formations being utilized, a back three, back four, and it comes down to which personalities in terms of opponents we face, and that is something that we can say is positive as well. Now, stylistically, it is an approach that not too dissimilar to Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. The Italian, in terms of what he did, he's a tactician. We know this. Don Carlo, that's a nickname that Chelsea fans give him, and some other teams do as well. They call him Don Carlo, and he has the respect. He's won things across leagues that gets him that respect. But this is something that you'd see that when a manager is tactically equipped, where they can utilize different formations, find the best approach that can benefit their players, it's always a plus. It always gives you that upper hand to know that if this isn't working, they have a plan B. And we've seen that, and respectfully, although I was very fond of Tuchel, it seemed at times he didn't have a plan B because of the personalities he had, and he didn't know what to do, what to switch, so that these players could thrive. But with a Graham Potter who is able to find moments and find situations that best equips these players with the right things to do, the movements, the passes, the creations, the pressing, this could possibly help the club in a positive way. Now, it depends on how long he stays for. There is a lot of belief that he'll be a longevity manager, a long-term one where he gets the opportunity to build something, build his own dynasty. And some fans I know will be disappointed with that because they'll say Tuchel deserves that same opportunity to build something. But sometimes things doesn't work out, unfortunately. But we know that the Italian manager Carlo Ancelotti utilized two back four formations and more as well. At one point he utilized a 4-3-3 where you'd have Benzema and in some cases Vinicius Jr. being partnered. Benzema and Vinicius Jr. being partnered with maybe a player in who was possibly out of position as well, but also sitting in to make a midfield. But I guess in a sense, he's also known at AC Milan in 2007 for doing this formation of using a 4-4-1-1, which allowed you to have a striker up top, somebody just behind, and a four-man midfield, and also wingers potentially playing as like left mids or right mids, and you also have your left back and right back, and you have your two centre backs. So I guess in that sense, there's some positives when you have this equipness of being able to switch formations, whether in game, and it works seamlessly. You cannot tell when the formation is changed immediately. It only takes positioning for you to notice that, okay, this player is in this position, the role has been switched. And this is also positive as with a Cucurella who can play as a left centre back. It allows you, if a three at the back is the plan to continue for now, you can still utilize that as a 3-5-2 where you have your Chilwell playing as that left wing back, but you can also have Cucurella, if you switch to a 4-4-2, playing as that second left back or second full back or left wing back that can alternate and switch with with Tuchel, who may be a bit deep at times and sometimes advanced. So this is also an excellent thing, and there's a lot of tactical things that could happen. Now, Graham Potter, is a manager that I'm fond of. I've always called him Harry Potter because I think he does a lot of wizardry, and it's something that I'm impressed with. He does a lot of majestic things, and I respect it. But a lot of people will say he's a quite good manager, and I would say that as well. The thing is, he was a left back at North, so which is why I think it was possible that at times he was able to get the best out of his fullbacks because of his past experience there. Obviously there was a point where he was appointed at Swansea, and he finished 10th with them, and then he run them to the FA Cup quarterfinals in 2019, and obviously he lost to Man City 2-0 before a 3-2 loss in the second round. So I guess a lot of impressive moments are there for him, and he's obviously had past experience in Sweden with Ostersund, and he achieved 3 consecutive promotions. So there's a lot of positives when you look at his past. People will possibly look at Potter and say that, why is he coming in? What has he won? What has he done to really give you the impression that if you give this manager the time, he will do something for you? But sometimes we need to understand that. I know a lot of fans are still disappointed about Tuchel sacking. I can still say that I am too, but sometimes you have to start somewhere. Being no manager who is successful right now and has won trophies, then start somewhere. We know Klopp started at Mainz, Tuchel started at Mainz, Dortmund. Klopp went to Bayern, to Dortmund as well, and he won things as well. Won a title there, and Tuchel went there, won trophies and pokals and things like that, and obviously, so you have to start somewhere. So yes, Graham Potter, in terms of impressiveness, in terms of what has he won at Brighton, what has he done this and that, you have to start somewhere, and he has the tactical knowledge to do things. It's about how he introduces that to these players, and if he can get them on his side and hope to benefit the team. But at the moment, he looks like somebody that looks promising, and for a long-term project, it could possibly work out. So I guess in that sense, as much as we're disappointed about Tuchel's sacking, we have to understand that this is a manager that is essentially 2 years younger than Tuchel, so he's not the young as the narrative has been. He's practically the same age that we got Tuchel in when he came in 2020. So I guess in a sense, we can possibly look at it and say, based on everything, it's not as negative as people put it out to be. But this narrative of what has he won, I don't get it, because somebody has to start somewhere. And I mean, if he gets the equipment, if he gets the personnel that he needs, he can do something. But that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Everything that's happening can do shocking, like I said, for fans, but we have to move on, and we have to accept that this is the new normal.